So last week, in this chapter of transcendental knowledge, which is chapter 4 of the Bhagavad Gita, we specifically discussed two shlokas, which is shlokas 12 and 13. I assume most of you attended the class, so I will do a quick summary and then a few more important points from these two shlokas, and then we can conclude the class today. So in shloka 12, Krishna says, men in this world desire success in fruitive activities, and therefore they worship the demigods. Quickly, of course, men get results from fruitive work in this world. In shloka 13, the Lord says, according to the three modes of material nature. Three modes means sattvagun, rajagun, and tamogun, and the work associated with them, which means all of us take on specific types of work based on the influence of the guna that we are under. So according to the three modes of material nature and the work associated with them, the four divisions of human society are created by me. And although I am the creator of this system, you should know that I am yet the non-doer, being unchangeable. So we discussed in the last class, why is Krishna suddenly talking about demigod worship and varnas here? Because from shlokas 1 to 11, he's been talking about what is this transcendental knowledge? This transcendental knowledge is the science of the relationship between the Jivatma and the Paramatma. So in shloka 3, Lord Krishna says, that very ancient science of the relationship with the Supreme is today told by me to you, because you are my devotee as well as my friend, and can therefore understand the transcendental mystery of this science. So Krishna is saying the relationship between the Jivatma and Paramatma is unique. It is transcendental. It is mystical, this relationship. And then Krishna talks about how his body never deteriorates when he appears. Krishna talks about how he never takes birth. He just appears and disappears. And he says, although I am the Lord of all living things, I still appear in every millennium in my original transcendental form. We discussed several weeks ago that it is not very usual for the president of a country or a prime minister of a country to visit jails. They have designated representatives to take care of the functioning of the jail. But yet, the Supreme Lord is so merciful. He personally comes into this jail called this material world to give us an opportunity to associate with him, to give us an opportunity to reconnect with him. That is how merciful the Supreme Lord is. But in regular society, you will not see this happen. You will not see Prime Minister Modi going to visit some jail where all the so-called misfits are, the so-called violators of the law are. But even though in this material world, we have all violated the Lord's laws, in which is why we have come into this material world, the Lord says, although I am the Lord of all living entities, I still appear in every millennium in my original transcendental form. He does not come in disguise. He does not pretend to be somebody else. He comes as Lord Krishna. That's what the Lord is saying. And then he's saying, whenever and wherever there is a decline in religious practice, O descendant of Bharata, and a predominant rise of irreligion, at that time I descend myself. Why does he descend? To deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants, as well as to re-establish the principles of religion. I myself appear millennium after millennium. So in Shloka 6, he's saying, I appear millennium after millennium. In Shloka 8, again, Krishna is repeating, I appear myself millennium after millennium. So we need not doubt Krishna. Twice he's saying he comes himself. Actually, even in Shloka 7, he's saying, I descend myself. As though to convince all the non-believers of his position as a Supreme Lord. And then Krishna talks about what is the result for those who know who he is. One who knows the transcendental nature of my appearance and activities does not, upon leaving the body, take his birth again in this material world, but attains my eternal abode, O Arjuna. So Krishna is saying, if you know who I am, and if you know my nature, that I am unborn, that I come in my original form, that I perform my leelas, if you know this, the benefit is you don't have to take birth again. But to know about him, Krishna is telling what is the precondition in the next shloka. So Krishna is saying to know truly who he is and understand his position, to appreciate who he is and become his devotee, which he's not specifically mentioned here. In the next shloka, he mentions it. What is the precondition? We must become free from attachment, fear, and anger. Vita raga bhaya krodha. If you're preoccupied with your material desires, if you're preoccupied with fear of losing whatever it is that you have, including your own life, and if you're preoccupied with anxiety over losing things or having lost things, where will you have the time for Krishna? So Krishna is telling you, in order to go back to the spiritual world, which he's talking about in Shloka 9, he is giving you the prerequisite in Shloka 10. You cannot think about him all the time if you're too busy with your attachments, fear, and anger. So Krishna says you have to free yourself from raga, bhaya, and krodha. Once you become freed, what will happen? You will have time, space, and inclination to be completely absorbed in me, Krishna says. Being fully absorbed in me and taking refuge in me, many persons in the past became purified by knowledge of me. So when you take refuge of Krishna, you then access this divine knowledge, this transcendental knowledge about who is Krishna and what is his position. And Krishna says, what happened in the end? After they got purified by this transcendental knowledge, what happened? They got transcendental love for me. Krishna says they all attain transcendental love for me. So all of these many persons who became purified, who took his refuge, and who became purified by hearing about him, it culminated in Krishna Prema. You notice in Shloka 10, Krishna doesn't say all. He simply says many, which means not all Jivatmas. Automatically, a lot of us are excluded from that count. Many persons in the past became purified. And they got Krishna Prema. In the next shloka, Krishna is saying, okay, So let us say you are not in this count of many. Krishna comes to the next shloka. He says, actually, as all surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly. So Krishna is saying, if you fully surrender to me, then you will get Krishna Prema. But if you're not fully surrendered to me, you will get some other reward. Reward meaning you will advance on the path of bhakti. So Krishna is saying, it all depends on you actually. What's the decision that you are making in terms of how much you want to surrender to Krishna? That's in your hands because he has given you the free will. And Krishna says, everyone follows my path in all respects, O son of Pritha. Ultimately, if Krishna is the source of intelligence, if he is the source of all wealth, if he is the source of all power, of wisdom, of strength, of beauty, of renunciation, if everything emanates from him, we all want a portion of that. And we are searching for it in different places. So ultimately, we are all searching for Krishna, but we don't know it. We're searching for it in the wrong places. So now Krishna has talked about his devotees and those who may have started on this process of Bhakti Yoga. Now Krishna has to address, what about those who may not be his devotees? So which is the reason why now Krishna talks about others. In Shloka 12, Krishna says, but there is this category of people who are so absorbed in material desires. So here he is, in Shloka 10, he said, you have to become free from attachment, fear, and anger. What if you're not free from attachment, fear, and anger? What happens to those personalities? Krishna is saying there is a particular category of people who have material desires, who want wealth, who want beauty, who want intelligence, who want power. Therefore, he tells us, what do they do if they want these things? They are not just going to get it automatically. They have to practice some austerity. What is the austerity that they are practicing? They are worshipping the demigods. So if they worship the demigods, each demigod has ownership of a particular portfolio. So if you want health, who would you worship? Who owns the portfolio? Who's the health?
Dhanvantri.
Dhanvantri. If you want intelligence, who will you worship?
Ganeshji and Saraswati Mata.
Ganeshji and Saraswati. If you want wealth?
Lakshmi.
Lakshmi Devi. So you understand how each of the demigod has a particular portfolio. Can you worship one demigod and get everything that you want?
No.
No. Sure, right? Can
Lord
you
Shiva.
worship one demigod and get everything that you want?
Lord Shiva.
Lord Shiva. How so?
He generally gives everything, all the appearances if somebody asks for it.
He becomes pleased easily, so he's called Ashutosh. So in your puja room, how many demigods photos you would have? Approximately.
Many.
10 to
Approximately.
15.
5 to 6,
20.
7.
6, 7, 10, 12, 20,
15 for me.
15 for you. Where are the rest of the 33 crore devatas? What about their photos?
They don't fit into our home, ma'am.
They don't fit into your home. They don't fit into your plan.
We don't even know who they are.
Don't know who they are.
Mataji, the 33 crore is not that. Actually, it's a wrong concept. Devi Devtas.
Is this because you heard from, what is his name? Jaggi Vasudev?
No, Mataji, actually, it is mentioned the 33 types. Actually, it is mentioned in some. I feel like when I was small, I have seen in some like it's been mentioned by Tenali and like some Brahmins. The types is koti, and when koti is also mentioned as crore in Sanskrit.
Yes.
So when they say 33 koti means, so it has been interpreted as crore. So it's 33 types of Devi Devtas.
Yes. But our acharyas have said literally there are 33 crore demigods. The Bhagavatam says this. The commentaries given by Vaishnava acharyas clearly say there are 33 crore demigods, not 33. For example, Prabhupada explains, for you to blink your eye, there is a demigod responsible for you to blink. For you to pass urine, there is one demigod for that. For you to pass stool, there is another demigod for that. These demigods are not known for us and we are not interested in them because your body you think is, performing automatically without you even being aware of it. So Krishna here is saying, because demigods provide quick results, men worship demigods. But the problem with worshipping demigods is that whatever results that they provide is temporary. Why are the results provided by the demigods temporary?
Because they themselves are temporary.
Because they themselves are temporary. Are demigods a permanent position?
No.
What does that mean?
You should be you should be qualified to be that, like Indra or something.
Yeah, you should qualify to become Indra.
Yes.
You should qualify to become Brahma.
Yeah.
You should qualify to become Ganesha or Kartikeya. That means it's a position. It's not a person.
Yeah.
It just so happens a person occupies that position. There is one exception. Who's that exception? There is one exception. Who is that exception?
Lord Shiva?
Shiva?
Yes. So Lord Sadashiva is considered a demigod in association with Parvati Devi, but he's not considered a demigod when he has his own space in the spiritual world. There's Devi Dham in the spiritual world. So all other demigods are actually positions. They have a particular portfolio. They can only give you what they are authorized to give as per their portfolio. So Krishna is saying, you will worship the demigods because as long as you are willing to pay the price, they will reciprocate with you. Demigod worship is therefore like a contract. The demigod is obligated to give you the results. And in this context, we talked about two examples. One is a young boy has some money, he goes to the shop, he wants to purchase a cigarette packet. And we discussed that the shopkeeper will sell him the cigarette packet. There are not many shopkeepers who will ask, are you buying this for yourself? Are you planning to smoke? Smoking is injurious to your health. Are you buying this for your father? If it is for your father, it is okay. It is not that injurious to his health. Why does the shopkeeper not care?
It's just a business deal.
It's a business deal. So similarly, Hiranyaksh, Hiranyakashipu, Ravana, they all did so much austerity. They asked for this, that, and the other. Were they ultimately successful in what they had as a desire?
No,
Brahma
Mataji.
gave his benediction.
Mataji, one question.
Mhm.
For example, if suppose hypothetically, if Hiranyakashipu would have worshipped Lord Vishnu and he would have come and then he would have asked for material benedictions. So Lord Vishnu would have rejected that or accepted it.
It's a hypothetical question. Only Lord Vishnu knows the answer to that question. Depends on what was the intent. If Hiranyakashipu's intent was to destroy Vishnu, what do you think?
I'll not worship, yeah.
His intent was to destroy Lord Vishnu and take over his position, right? Because he had taken over all the other departments, all the other demigod portfolios he had taken over. The portfolios he had not taken over was Lord Shiva, Lord Brahma, and Lord Vishnu. He was thinking, all these demigods worship Lord Vishnu. If I get rid of Vishnu, then they'll be forced to worship me. So you think if he had approached Lord Vishnu with this desire, it would have been fulfilled?
I mean, if you're saying that Lord Brahma, whatever penances you do, and Lord Brahma appears, and then he gives you whatever you ask, apart from become immortal, right? So if the same, I think just trying to understand if they are obligatory because of the penances that you do, everyone, like Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh, all of them.
Lord Vishnu is not obligated.
Brahma is obligated.
Brahma is obligated, yes.
Okay, yeah, that is what I was trying to understand. Thank you, Hare Krishna.
Lord Brahma is obligated, but you have to remember, ultimately, even in this particular shloka, men in this world desire success and fruitive activities, and therefore they worship the demigods. If you remember our classes from Gita Sandesh, there are 3 entities involved here in desires. Who's the entity that is desiring?
The one who is doing the penances.
The Jivatma.
Jiva.
Who is the entity that is sanctioning that desire?
Supreme Lord.
Supreme Lord. Who is the entity that's executing that order?
Demigods.
Demigods. Which means ultimately the Lord's hand is there in the picture. So if we know that ultimately it's Krishna who's sanctioning our desires, do you think we should worship Krishna or do you think we should worship the demigods?
Worship Krishna.
Why?
Ultimate person.
Because? So let's say I want to be very powerful, I want to become very rich. Should I worship Krishna or the demigods?
Demigods.
Krishna, because he's the one who's ultimately sanctioning it, whatever it is.
So what is the benefit of
So
worshiping?
if you're worthy of it, he will sanction it. Otherwise, if he feels it's not good for you, he will not sanction it through the demigod.
Okay. So some of you said demigods. Why would you still worship the demigod and not Krishna?
By the nature of Jivatma, I mean, everybody wants guarantee. Nobody wants, we are so contaminated that we want guarantee that we want this to be fulfilled.
All the demigods are also
Can the
part of
demigods give you the guarantee, or would Lord Krishna be in a position to give you that guarantee?
Lord Krishna may reject it because for our ultimate good in the future.
But he may not also reject it.
Yes, so there's chances.
There's chances. So if there are chances, would you worship the demigod or would you worship Krishna? I'm asking which is more intelligent to do. Is it more intelligent to worship the demigod for your material desires, or is it more intelligent to worship Krishna for your material desires?
Demigod.
Krishna.
Now, I want to know why. Why is it more intelligent? Your answer is correct, whoever said Krishna. It is more intelligent to worship Krishna for your material desires than the demigods. The answer is right. But I want to know why.
He is the ultimate
Because he
sanctioner.
is the one who
Sanctions it
Because
ultimately.
Krishna has all the power.
That is fine. He's the
Demigods.
ultimate. Now that you know he's the
Also.
one who's sanctioning, that's great. But why is it still beneficial for you to worship Krishna?
Krishna knows what is good for
Krishna
us.
will know how much to give, when to give, what to give.
Because he knows what is good for us.
All that is nice. But what is the ultimate benefit of worshipping Krishna?
Going back to Goloka.
The karma associated with whatever we are. Selfishness.
Yes, so it is better to benefit it is better to worship Lord Krishna even if you have material desires, because worshipping Krishna purifies your heart. So Krishna may reciprocate with you and say, Acha, you want wealth, is it? I will give you wealth. Will your devotion to Krishna increase or not?
Definitely.
Definitely.
Yes, Mataji.
But we also said Krishna is very clever. He will not give you right away. Just because you keep going to him doesn't mean he'll give it to you right away. He is slow because he is worried about your purification. Do the demigods care about your purification?
No.
So when you worship the demigods and you get your desire fulfilled, there is no after sales service. There is no guarantee. There is no warranty. You go buy a packet of cigarettes. Do you think the shopkeeper is going to pay for your health costs were you to fall sick and get cancer down the road? Does he care?
No.
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 Similarly, the demigods do not take into calculation what's going to happen to you in the future because they have fulfilled your material desires. No guarantee, no warranty. But what do you think if you worship Krishna? Is there some guarantee, warranty there?
Yes.
How so? In what way is there a guarantee or a warranty if you're worshipping Krishna? Because whatever he sanctions is also temporary. If you ask for wealth, is that wealth you loan forever?
No.
He will not sanction it if it's not good for us. So there itself it is stopped.
But still there is a benefit because worshipping Krishna gives you sukriti.
Okay.
Worshipping the demigods may give you punya. So even if you have material desires, it is better to approach Lord Krishna. What are the chances that you'll become a devotee of Krishna even though you approach him with material desires? Is there a better chance of you becoming a devotee of Krishna?
Yes, Mataji.
And what will happen when you become a devotee of Krishna?
You will not ask for wealth going forward
You
in the
will
future.
not ask
Will
for
reduce the
material things
material.
anymore. So hence worship of Krishna is purifying. Even if you approach him with material desires, there is still some purification that is happening. But here Lord Krishna is saying, I know that not everybody is going to worship me. I know people are going to be short-sighted. They want things now. And what will they do? They will worship demigods.
Mataji, can I've just heard it from many old people. Can I just ask that question?
Mhm.
Actually, Mataji, what I've heard is like from the oldies and all, that if you worship, if you're a Bhakta of Krishna or a Vaishnava, he'll grant you your wishes, but it'll be very slow. Hence, we lose patience and we turn away. I mean, turn ourselves away from him, and then we go to the demigods, because demigods please you with your wishes very fast. But Krishna will keep on testing you, as Mataji, you told that, he will see that if it is good for us, only then he will sanction or he will deliver our wishes. But
Yes.
otherwise, people like us will lose our patience and will turn back to the demigods and forget Krishna. This is what, because he doesn't immediately accept what we ask him. Probably that could be the reason that many people
Yes. So
of us.
let's take that cigarette example again. You're a young boy, you go to your father and say, I want 500 rupees, I want to buy a packet of cigarettes. What will happen? Will you get slapped?
Father will refuse.
Huh?
Father will refuse right away.
Father will refuse, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So because the father knows, well, if it's an ideal father, father knows what's best for you. But let's say you ask for chocolates from your mother. And chocolates maybe not that bad for you, but still they may spoil your teeth. Mother may try to distract you and try to buy you something else. But if you start throwing a temper tantrum and you ask for chocolate, what will the mother do?
She'll buy and
Whack you.
So Krishna knows what he should not give you if it means it puts a greater distance between you and him. Correct. Krishna wants you. Krishna genuinely wants you to love him. He wants a relationship with you. So he thinks, this devotee is coming to me asking me for wealth. He must love me. That's why he's coming to me. So he is very clever. He will figure out, okay, so if he wants to love me and if I give him the wealth, he will get distracted and not come to me. So I will not give him the wealth. But if Krishna knows, if this person, I give them the wealth and they use it in my service, do you think Krishna will give them the wealth?
yes.
Yes.
Yes. So Krishna is always calculating, what is this person going to do after I give this to him? Will he come back to me or will he put distance between me and him? If he knows that whatever he gives you, you will use it in his service, he will definitely give you what you ask for. In one of the classes, I talked about a specific pastime. There is a very old lady, very poor. The only possession that she has is a cow. So she essentially lives off of the cow. She has nothing else. And in that same town, there is a very wealthy businessman. One day, our dear Narada Muni visits. And he sees both of them are great devotees of Krishna. The old lady is a great devotee of Krishna. The wealthy businessman is a wonderful devotee of Krishna. So he thinks, I will go to Narayana and I will ask Narayana to benedict both of them. So he goes to the Lord and he tells the Lord, my dear Lord, I want to tell you what wonderful devotees you have. There is this old lady who's really poor. She's only dependent on the cow. She has nothing else. There is this ultra wealthy businessman. He's a great devotee. He's always engaged in your service. So Narada Muni asks Narayana, can you please benedict them? And Narayana says, yes, of course. Narada Muni, you are asking me, how can I say no to you? So the Lord says, yes. So what happens? Narada Muni is curious. How did the Lord benedict this poor woman, this old lady, and this rich businessman? So he goes back to check what has happened. What does he find? When he goes back to the town, Narada Muni finds that Krishna has taken away the cow from the old lady. The cow is dead. And he's puzzled. I asked the Lord to benedict this old lady, and this is what he's done. He's made her situation worse. So he thinks, let me see what my Lord has done for that rich man. So he goes to visit the rich man, and what does he see? The rich man has become even more rich. And Narada Muni is deeply puzzled and upset by this. He asks the Lord to benedict both of them, and what does the Lord do? The Lord takes away the cow from the old lady, which is all she had. And he is given even more wealth to that rich businessman. So he goes back to Narayana and he complains, my dear Lord, I asked you to benedict these two devotees of yours. Why did you take away the cow from her? And why did you give the rich man wealth? He was already rich. He had everything that he needed. Why did you give him more wealth? What do you think Narayana's response was to Narada Muni?
The old lady will get more attached to Krishna and she'll have no more attachment to the cow. She can do more devotion.
Acha, and what about the rich man?
Rich man may use the amount of material, whatever he has in service of Krishna, say offering donations or to temple.
So the Lord told Narada, Narada, the only thing separating that old lady from me was that cow. Now that I have taken her cow away, she has no choice but to be completely dependent on me. So there was just a small little gap left between her and me. That was that cow. For the rich man, whatever I had already given him, he was anyway using in my service. He was using it to preach. So I gave him more wealth so he could preach more. Why do you think the Lord gave more wealth to that rich man? What is the reason? Yes, he was using it in the Lord's service, but what is the ultimate reason? Krishna is very clever.
To bring more people.
To bring more people back to him. Krishna needs agents, no, in material world to do the preaching. Is Krishna coming preaching in every house? He's not, no? He needs Jivatmas to do his work, correct?
Yes, Mataji.
Does he or does he not need Jivatmas to do the preaching on his behalf?
He needs it.
Then he's going to make sure some Jivatmas get all of the facilities, whether it is wealth or intelligence or service. He will figure out how to get his job done. So for some of the devotees, he'll make them ultra wealthy. For some of the devotees, he'll make them perfect in deity worship. For some of the devotees, he'll give them the talent of making wonderful, beautiful garlands and wonderful clothes for him. Krishna needs Jivatmas to do his work of preaching. So for those who are occupied in preaching services, even if you may have material desires, Krishna will fulfill it because he knows you will use it in his service. Whereas for the poor lady, although she was a great devotee of the Lord, she may not have been engaged in preaching. The only thing that was left between her and Krishna was that cow. So he said, Chalo, you are so close to me. I will help you come to me, pick her. I will take away your cow. So our calculation and Krishna's calculation is going to be very different. Our calculation will always be material. Krishna's calculation will always be spiritual. So he will reward you according to how you plan to use what he gives you, whether in material work or spiritual work. So Krishna is acknowledging that not everybody will worship him. So he says, yes, so demigod worship. I have allowed demigod worship as per the Vedic scriptures. So if you worship the demigods, you will experience success in your material desires. So Krishna then comes to Shloka 13 and he says, according to the three modes of material nature and the work associated with them, The 4 divisions of society are created by me. Chatur Varnyam Maya Shrishtam. Varna. Krishna is not talking about ashramas in this particular shloka. He's talking about the 4 Varnas. What are the 4 Varnas?
Brahmanas.
Brahmana, Kshatriya, Vaishya, Shudra.
Vaishya and Shudra. So Krishna is saying these 4 classes of human beings have been created by him. So it is said in the scriptures that the Brahmanas originated from Lord Vishnu's head. The Kshatriyas originated from the Lord's shoulders and arms. The Vaishyas originated from the Lord's waist. The Shudras originated from the Lord's lotus feet, the lower limbs. Are all 4 important in society?
Yes.
Yes, Mother.
What will happen if in a society you have only Brahmanas? You don't have Kshatriyas, you don't have Vaishyas, you don't have Shudras. What will happen?
You will not have protectors. You will not have business.
No food,
happening. You will not have
no
many
labor.
classes.
Let's take the reverse. What will happen in a society that has only laborers, the labor class?
They will not know how to progress.
They will not know how to progress. So we can understand through the shloka that the Lord is not partial. He does not believe in inequality. But then we discussed in the last class, inequality is a fact of life. We see inequality all around us, beginning with when you start going to school, not all students get the same score. Some students are very intelligent and other students are not so intelligent. Should we blame the school for the intelligence or lack of intelligence of the students? What do you think? Is the school responsible for the intelligence levels?
No.
The school only responds to what it has. So for very intelligent students, they may create a fast track so you can get your secondary certificate quicker. For not so intelligent students, maybe they will give extra classes to help you pass the exams. So the school itself does not discriminate. The school just responds to what it sees. So we discussed this Varnashram is a socio-economic structure created by the Lord. So we have now agreed that all 4 classes of Jivatmas, human beings, are necessary in a society. So every society has an intellectual class, has an administrative class, has the class that is involved in business activities, and a class that is involved in labor. If you go to any company, there is a department of finance, there is one CEO, there is also a custodian department that takes care of the cleanliness of the company. All of them are necessary to run that company. All of their activities are valuable. All of their competence is valuable. Chatur Varnyam Maya Shrishtam Guna Karma Vibhagasha, Krishna says. Guna and karma. What is guna? What is guna?
Attitude.
Attitude. What is karma?
Aptitude.
Aptitude. Attitude means what are you born with? What guna are you under the influence of? Aptitude means using that, how do you qualify and build your competency? So you could say guna is the quality and karma is your competency. Here the word karma does not mean the karma as in good or bad. You develop a competency. So based on your competency, you could be a kshatriya. Based on your competency or lack thereof, you could be in the laborer class. So let us say we have this human body, we have a head, we have arms, legs, waist, stomach, etc. Can the leg argue with the rest of the body and say, why should the head be considered the most important? Because were it not for the leg, the head wouldn't exist. Were it not for the leg that was engaged in physical activities, there's no chance of the head existing. So can the leg argue and say, I am more important than the head? Can that argument be made?
No, Mataji.
So can the laborer class argue that all of us should be treated as brahmanas? It's unfair to treat us as laborer class.
No, Mataji. All are equally important in their own roles.
Okay. So in our society, you can think of two things: equality of opportunity and equality of results. Do we want equal results or do we want equal access to opportunity? Which do we want?
Access to opportunity.
Access to opportunity, right? Because if we all demanded equal results, then you will end up with mediocrity in society. Which means this quota system that exists, even a less competent person can become a doctor. And then what happens? The society, less competent person has achieved a position that they truly may not have been qualified for. So everybody is given an equal opportunity to become what they want, provided they exhibit the competency. So equality of results, where you demand equal results, leads to mediocrity. But equality of opportunity provides the rise of competence. Therefore, inequality is a fact of life. You cannot change it. Equality of results actually impedes the development of competency. So what is Krishna saying here? Krishna is saying we are all born with abilities, and he has arranged these 4 varnas to help us gradually progress. So there is varna and there is ashram. Varna is meant to take care of your material needs. It's a natural division of society to help meet your basic requirements for food, clothing, shelter, and to maintain a family. So if the 4 varnas are geared towards making sure that your material needs are met, what do you think the 4 ashrams are there for? First of all, what are the 4 ashrams?
Brahmacharyam, Grihastha,
Vanaprastha, Sannyasashrama.
So why has the Lord also created the 4 ashrams? For what?
For making spiritual progress.
Excellent answer. That's the right answer, actually. So you see how beautifully Krishna has designed this material cosmos, that within this jail, he's given you an opportunity to progress and take care of your material desires. He's also set up the ashrams so that you can also make systematic progress on the spiritual path, which means the varna and ashram come together to help you progress on this path of going back to Krishna. So according to the three modes of material nature and the work associated with them, the four divisions of human society are created by me. In the morning session, I was saying that these four divisions of human society, these four classes exist in every society. It's not just in India. Now, in other societies, they may not have these clear four demarcations. Generally, in Western society, they talk about the aristocratic class and the bourgeois class. The bourgeois class means working class, which means there is a ruling class and there is a working class. But if you go deeper, you will actually see there are these four divisions. And then Krishna says, and although I am the creator of the system, you should know that I am yet the non-doer, being unchangeable. So Krishna is saying, don't ever make the mistake of thinking because I have entered the prison doesn't mean I am no longer the prime minister or the CEO or the president. If the prime minister enters the prison, does he become contaminated?
No, Mother.
When the prime minister enters the prison, does he become a prisoner?
No.
So similarly, when the Lord himself personally comes into this material cosmos, nothing happens to him. Because he is the creator, he is the non-doer, he is beyond the three gunas, he is unchangeable. So the Lord does not at all get influenced by Prakriti when he enters the material cosmos. He's making it crystal clear to any one of us who has a doubt that Krishna may just be an extraordinary human being who did extraordinary things. Krishna is not an extraordinary human being. He is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So he's saying, although I am the creator of the system, I am not impacted by it because I am unchangeable. So Krishna is saying he's organized this socio-economic structure in such a way that each one of us has an equal opportunity to succeed. But succeed in what? We just got done saying there is inequality is a fact of life. What equality is Krishna talking about? What do you think he is interested in? What equality?
We all become his devotees.
So this varnashrama system is created for your basic requirements to survive in this universe. The equality that Krishna cares about is the equality of the soul. Because we take birth due to our own karmic reactions, there can be no equality. But there is equality based on the Nitya Dharma platform. All of us are spirit souls. All of us have equal access, have the right to access and have a relationship with our spiritual father. So Krishna is saying, yes, there is inequality because of the nature of karma. Yet I am so kind and merciful to you. Any one of you can become my devotee. You can be a Shudra, you can be a Brahmachari, you can be a sannyasi. All of you have an equal right and access to me. So the equality calculation for Krishna is that we are all spirit souls, we are eternally related to him. He gives us the choice to come back to him. That choice is available to all of us equally. So he is waiting to see, are you going to take advantage of this? So the system is in place for you to gradually develop and become a Krishna conscious person. The only question is, do you want to become Krishna conscious?
Yes.
So if you want to become Krishna conscious, this sentence applies to you. As all surrender unto me, I reward them accordingly.
Accordingly.
So the more Krishna conscious you become, the more the Lord will reciprocate with you. So if Krishna realizes this child of mine is trying hard to come back to me, do you think he will make it easy for you to come back to him? Or do you think he will create the situation to come back to him? Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes, Mataji. He will create a situation for us.
He will create a situation, right? So when you worship the demigods, can they influence your past karma and your present karma, what you're experiencing?
Yes.
Yes? If you worship the demigods, can they change your karma?
No.
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 But if you worship Krishna, can he change your karma?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
The right to commute a life sentence resides with the president in India, is it not?
Yes, Mataji.
Although the president gets a lot of advice what he should and should not do from his coterie of advisors. But the ultimate right to forgive somebody resides with who?
President.
But not with the ministers, correct?
Yes, Mataji.
So who has the sole right to change your karma if they want to?
Krishna.
Krishna. So should you worship the demigods or should you worship Krishna?
Krishna.
Krishna.
Bas. Simple answer. So even if you have material desires, you should worship Krishna because Krishna can change your prarabdha karma. What is prarabdha karma?
Sufferings.
What is prarabdha karma?
Karma accumulated from past.
Huh?
Karma accumulated in the past lives.
Which are mature.
Prarabdha karma is what has matured and you are experiencing in this life. You care about this life and this life, what you're suffering and going through, correct? You don't know what your karma is going to be in the future. You don't know what you did in the past and what you already experienced in the past. You want your current life to be changed, and the only personality that can change that is Lord Krishna. Krishna, if he so desires, can change your prarabdha karma. But when do you think he will do that?
When you become his devotee and surrender.
Become his devotee and surrender. So if you want your life to change, especially, my appeal is to those who think why am I going through such difficult times? Why am I suffering so much? It's never ending. One thing after another, I'm experiencing problems in my life. Krishna is saying, become my devotee. I will personally interfere, intervene in your life. Do we want Krishna to interfere and intervene in our life?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes, Mataji.
Yes, Mataji.
So that is the key takeaway from the two shlokas that we discussed in last class and this class is that there are a certain category of people who will worship the demigods because their predominant desire is to achieve certain things. And Krishna says, for them, I have created this socio-economic structure so that gradually one day they will become my devotee. But in the shlokas prior to 12 and 13, Krishna has already talked about his devotees. And he's already talked about the results for those devotees who have surrendered to him. So when you surrender to Krishna, Krishna becomes personally involved in your life. And he will change your prarabdha karma. Which is why we say, when you become a devotee of Krishna, there's no need to consult an astrologer. The astrologer is only reading your chart, but Krishna has already taken care of a lot of things. So when you become a devotee of Krishna, astrology does not play a role because Krishna has changed your prarabdha karma. So you need not worry about consulting astrologers again and again. Yes, even devotees consult astrologers, no doubt about it. But if you have faith in Krishna, you don't have to consult astrologers. Right? So this is a summary of these two shlokas. We'll continue with shlokas 14 onwards.